party people. Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, where the gaming table is always set for two. I am your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week I am joined by Tom Harrison, host of Shuffle Quest, for a game of Adventurer and Troll. Shuffle Quest is a pop culture mashup actual play podcast in which a band of fantasy adventurers undertake a cross-dimensional quest to save the multiverse. Which is to say, it is a podcast in which players take a band of Dungeons & Dragons characters and play them through various pop culture branded role-playing games. So if you've ever wanted to hear how a band of Dungeons & Dragons characters fares in the mid-90s Men in Black role-playing game, or perhaps a fan-made Dragon Ball Z game, Shuffle Quest might be for you. You can find more information about Shuffle Quest in the show notes. Adventurer and Troll is a 2-page, 2-player micro-RPG by Sean McCarthy. The premise is simple. There is an adventurer, and there is a troll. The adventurer wants to cross a bridge. The troll lives under the bridge and wants to protect that bridge. The adventurer is afraid of the troll because trolls eat adventurers. The troll is afraid of the adventurer because adventurers kill trolls. Can these two players negotiate a peace that allows everyone to get what they want? Or will the troll eat the adventurer, or will the adventurer kill the troll? That is all up to the player's negotiation and a roll of the dice. It is a super fun, super neat, super quick game that I think you'll really dig and that you should check out in the show notes. A brief note before we dive in, that I'm going to be at a bunch of different conventions this November, and if you're going to be at these conventions, you should find me and say hi. I will be at Metatopia the 3rd to the 5th of November in Morristown, New Jersey, a Catacon in Dayton, Ohio, the 10th through the 12th, and on the 17th and 19th, I will be at PAX Unplugged in the greatest goddamn city on earth, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you're going to be at any of these places on any of these days, give me a shout. We'll hang out. And with all that out of the way, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week I'm sitting down with Tom Harrison. Tom, thank you for coming on Party of One.
Hey, thanks for having me. Looking forward to playing.
So, at the top of the show, why don't you take a moment and tell the audience at home anything that you're working on that you might want them to know about, any cool podcasts you're a part of, all that sort of good stuff.
How fun of you to ask that, because wouldn't you know it, I have an answer already prepared. I am the GM, host, and producer of Shuffle Quest, a actual play RPG podcast. That is a campaign podcast that takes place over a series of ever-changing pop culture universes. Like, the characters, the player characters, are native to the world, the fictional world of Dungeons & Dragons, and they have been kidnapped by a giant floating stone head named Olmec, who takes them to various places that need saving. So, like, for example, they just saved the universe of Men in Black. Men in Black, you'll recall, being a movie that no one really likes that much, but everyone likes kind of a little. So that was very fun to deal with. And when is this
I love Men in Black. I don't know what you're talking about. I genuinely adore that film.
I think, well, the first one is good. The fact that they tried to make it like into an extended series, I think, is when people caught on. That's like, this is just Chrome stuff.
Yeah,
and
like
I think Tony Shalhoub jokes.
Once we got to M3B, it got a little bit much.
Yeah. And for the second adventure that's just started, they are in the world of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, that's real good.
Yeah, learning to shoot beams, learning to power up. Oh, it's fun. Yeah, you would be surprised to find that the Dragon Ball Z role-playing game system is not suited for a long-form, plot-based campaign, but we did it.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I really love the idea of Shuffle Quest because I am a huge fan of, like, weird licensed role-playing games and weird fan-made licensed, or not licensed, but in-universe role-playing games.
Yeah.
Because they're fascinating to me. So I'm really into the concept of Shuffle Quest.
Yeah, it came to when Joe, one of the cast members, just like messaged me one day and was like, hey, one of my buddies has the Men in Black role-playing game he got from a thrift store. Isn't that funny? And I'm like, it's not just funny. It's what we're doing for the next year.
I actually had oddly enough, I had almost the exact same experience. A friend of mine IM'd me one day. He's like, hey, I found this in a thrift store dollar bin, and it was a copy of the Men in Black role-playing game.
Oh my god. It's like shockingly not bad. Like, it's really funny.
It's surprisingly good. It is better than the Men in Black licensed role-playing game from 1996 has any right to be.
Yeah. Oh my god, it is fantastic. And also, I just love there are so many of these pop cultural things that we just all know that are in the back of our heads, but they're like no one's favorite. Like no one right now today in 2017 is like, I need to think a ton about Men in Black and Dragon Ball Z. And this sort of context lets us play with these assumptions about these worlds that we all know. But
yeah,
lets us think about, like, actually, it's weird that everything is chrome in Men in Black. Why is that what every alien race uses to make their technology?
Yeah, no, I really, and it's real good. It's extremely good.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it.
So this week we are playing Adventurer and Troll. It is a one-page micro 2-player RPG, and I'm extremely excited about it. So, why don't we dive in?
Perfect.
It is a time of heroes and legends and monsters and terror. Magic has filled the air, and our story begins on a tiny, slightly broken down wooden bridge over a small but violent river connected, that runs along a small clearing in a thick forest. So the forest has just opened up. There's this small clearing, there's this narrow but surprisingly violent river, and there's this rickety wooden bridge, seemingly innocuous. Mm-hmm. An adventurer comes to this bridge. Tell me, introduce us to your adventurer, and describe them to us as they approach the bridge. Give us their opening shot.
Okay, so out from this forest comes at first a silhouette of a hulking figure dragging an enormous broadsword behind him. And as he comes into the clearing right before this rickety bridge, we see that this is an extremely buff fellow. We're talking some bushy chest hair as he emerges shirtless with a still weeping scar across his chest, wearing a bear fur sort of loincloth situation, a enormous scar across his face from years ago, making one of his eyes a milky white. And need to make it clear, dude is ruggedly handsome as hell, a beautiful boy, and his sword that he's dragging behind him is stained with red and purple blood, and he's got on his shoulder a sort of sunburst-shaped magical scar, and he's looking very much the worse for wear. He needs to get over this bridge right now, and he approaches it as though it were no different than any other bridge.
You step one foot onto the bridge. You drag your sword to the edge. You put your hand on the rope handle. You put a foot on the bridge, and suddenly there's the sound of thunder. Black clouds fill the sky. A huge, deep, ruby, blood-red hand clutches the side and pulls over this gaunt, wiry, long-limbed troll who comes up cackling. And he says,
what is... Sorry.
Oh, he says...
Continue.
And he starts, his eyes glowing yellow, he says, "Beware the bridge of Caliban the Red, with claws and vicious fangs, you'll end up dead."
What is the language policy on this podcast?
Oh, you feel free to fucking swear as much as you want, my friend.
This adventurer, upon seeing this, yelps out, "Fuck! God! Sorceress troll!"
And the troll locks eyes with the adventurer and goes, adventurer! And now the game begins in earnest.
Excellent.
The two of us are going to negotiate you trying to cross this bridge and me trying to keep you from crossing this bridge. I have a trust track from 0 to 6. I also have a 6-sided dice, currently on 6. I have 6 patience. I've set the dice at 0 trust with 6 patience. Now the negotiation begins. Caliban leans forward, his bony limbs like jutting out, and he says, "What brings you to the bridge, big boy?"
1, thank you for calling out that I am a big boy. Appropriately seen. I feel seen right now. 2, I've just come from a lich's hideout. I need to bring this amulet, and he hoists a glowing purple amulet on a gold chain in front of the troll's face. Like, I need to bring this amulet to my buddy Cleve. He too is a barbarian. If I don't get this to him in the next hour, Cleve's done for.
What's your name? Who are you?
I'm Roger Swordhoister, but who I am really right now is a guy who needs to get over this bridge.
I mean, little friendliness wouldn't hurt. But that's fine. You ain't crossing this bridge, so it really doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter how friendly you are, you ain't crossing the bridge.
You talking about friendliness, you started off with a poem about how I'm gonna end up dead. Which, by the way, great poem. You wouldn't know it to look at me, but I love the arts.
Thank you, actually. Nobody... You know how many adventurers I've had to eat, and they didn't appreciate the iambic pentameter of that couplet? It's not easy. I'm really thankful that my name is 3 syllables, because it really perfectly fit into the rhyme structure. So thank you for noticing.
What if you need to do some Tetrarchs? That won't work. Is that a type? Whatever. Cut that. That wasn't funny.
So thank you for noticing. Thank you for appreciating the arts. But, I still can't really let you cross the bridge. It's a whole reputation thing.
I'm not... I've already just been on an adventure. I've already just fought a monster. I just really need to get to Cleve. He needs this amulet. There's a ghost inside who knows about wounds. The ghost is gonna solve my buddy Cleve's problems. Look, I won't tell anyone that I went over this bridge if that's what it's about. If it's about reputation, I'll tell everyone that you ate my eye. And he points to his blind eye.
I was gonna ask what happened with the eye. I was gonna ask.
It's actually a great story. So one time I was in this tavern. You know how it is when you're in a tavern.
I've actually never been to it. Tell me, what are they like? They don't really, with the bridge and the not having money and also the, eating of faces, it's not really my scene. So I've always kind of wondered what a tavern is like.
Roger Swordhoister's face, a tapestry of war and pain, softens for a moment at the thought that you've never been to a tavern. He says, "Oh, a tavern is the best place in the world. It's what makes you go on an adventure. It's what makes all this hardship and pain worthwhile to come back to a nice tavern. They usually have one big gimmick. Maybe they'll have a bear's skull, and it'll be called the bear's skull. The fun names are always the killer. They're what does it for me. And you walk in, and there's someone playing music on maybe a lute. Have you heard lute music?
One time I did. I had a bard. It's a pretty funny story. A bard came with a lute, and he was playing the lute. He was trying to cross the bridge, and I told him, "That's a really beautiful thing. If you keep playing that, I'll let you cross the bridge." And he stopped. He stopped because he was like, "What do you want to hear?" And I said, "I don't know any music." And he was like, "Well, I can't play music if you don't give me a request." That's not really as funny as it is like a stern warning about not wasting my time, but like I think there's a certain humor to it.
No, that's Bard all over. That's why I don't adventure with Bards.
They're really a pain in the ass, right? Anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's fine. It's fine. As long as if we get to drag Bards, it's fine with me, bud. But anyway, taverns. You got your lute music, and imagine that, and behind it a roaring fire, and imagine you've been trudging through mud and rain, and you're damp. You live under a bridge. Do you actually like being damp?
Trolls are not fond of fire. I will say that. That's not a real selling point.
Okay, imagine it was like a building where you were extra damp.
Okay, I'm into that.
Like, it's not, but that's the equivalent for like an adventurer. And you go in, and it's full of people. Half of them have quests to give you. Half of them are sort of shady characters who you know have some sort of hook that can change the next month of your life. And, oh man, the ale. Have you had ale?
I've had elf blood. Is it like elf blood?
Let's say, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm into that then. Yeah, it was real good.
And they serve you ale. They serve you roast legs of mutton. I'm certain that you've had a roast leg of flesh, tearing it off the bone.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's great.
Yeah. Imagine all those things in one place.
That's pretty good. You've sold me on the tavern.
Don't go to one though, because you are a troll and everyone will attempt to kill you.
That's a bummer. That's bummer.
Yeah, no, I realize I sort of set you up and then tore you down, but it's for your safety. I don't want you trying to go to a tavern and being murdered. Because you told me that poem. I got no quarrel with you. I'm trying to make something happen here. But anyway, how I got my scar. That's what you wanted to know, right?
Yeah, I wanted to know about the scar. I've got questions.
Oh, this is one of my best stories. Okay, so I was in the tavern with my buddy Cleve. He also is a barbarian. I'm a barbarian, you see.
Okay, that explains the loincloth.
Exactly, yeah. Although, now, if you wear one of these, if you go around, you'll know that, like, it's not just barbarians who benefit. This is so freeing. Like, a bard with this, I feel like all their little hang-ups would be gone. They wouldn't need to constantly be trying to trick people. They would know that, like me, the best way to go through life is to hit things with a huge sword. It's very freeing and also comfortable. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm with my buddy Cleve. He's a barbarian. He also is he's a half-orc, you see, so he's not as smart as me. And I'm not very smart at all. Anyway, so we're in the tavern, and he says to me, "Hey, Roger, I bet I could beat you in an arm wrestling contest." And so I went into a berserker rage, obviously. And seeing that, Cleve went into a berserker rage. And he cut half my face open. And, you know, that's us in a nutshell. We're good friends.
Are berserker rages a thing? Like, is that a real... That sounds like that was not a big, kind of sounded like it was just sort of a friendly competition that you turned into, like, eye mangling, and I'm not really keen on, like, that kind of sounds like this is going to end in blood, because, like, I got a lot more questions, and I don't want you getting all, you know, I'm going to murder you, you know, what is best in life, to cleave your enemies, and all that stuff. You be cool, alright? Just be cool.
I mean, that's where I am at now, but one, cleaving your enemies is what's best in life. That's why my buddy Cleve chose Cleve as his name.
I did have that explains a lot.
Yeah, half-orcs tend to be named like Cleve, Sever, like Lop. There's a lot of them are called Lop. It's like, yeah. Yeah, berserker rages, they're amazing. You just sort of become a slave to the sword. And the sword becomes your brain and your body. I love it. It kicks ass. What, are you saying you don't like a berserker rage? I feel like you would love it because it helps you kill easier.
That's actually not that's a good point. Now, let me ask you some questions about this Berserker Rage program that you're pitching me right now. Like,
Okay.
say that I'm on a bridge, or perhaps a crosswalk, a tunnel entrance, some sort of liminal space. You know what I mean? Like a transitional type liminal space. Something between things. And someone has come, and I'm demanding a toll, and they are not giving me a toll. Could I fly into a rage and kill them before they maybe had a chance to cast a spell and turn me into a frog for an hour?
Oh yeah, that's like textbook Berserker Rage time. When someone is not giving you what they want, rage right then.
Okay, all right. How does one get a Berserker Rage? How does that process work?
Well, as I've been reading more about, meditation, it strikes me more as, don't tell any of my barbarian friends this, but I've been reading about meditation at the local Bards College. Doesn't mean I like bards.
I understand.
But, I've come to the realization that Berserker Rages are really just a kind of meditation, except instead of becoming at peace with yourself and the world, you just sort of focus on all that enrages you and prevents you from getting back to the tavern. And you take all of those things, all of those social niceties, all of those self-preservation instincts that keep you from letting the sword become your soul, and you just set them aside for a while. And it's very fun because your sort of conscious mind becomes an observer as you just watch lots of body parts fly off, and you would not believe how much energy you can impart into a head with one swing of a sword.
Now, do you need you're talking a lot about a sword, and I see that you have a very large broadsword, and I do want to just point out, very large. You're probably going to want to put it over your shoulder if you cross you can't cross the bridge, but were I to let you cross the bridge, you would probably want to put it over your shoulder because it seems like it's going to knock the bridge out, and then you're going to fall into the river. And, that's where the sea serpents are. They're kind of running upriver because it's mating season, so you're going to get devoured by a sea serpent. There's a lot, so you put it over your shoulder.
For anyone. That's not good for anyone. Yeah, shoulder for sure.
But I guess my question is, do you need a sword, or could I use, just sort of brainstorming claws and vicious fangs?
It really depends. For me, I'm a human. I need my sword. But, show me what you got. What are you working with?
Claws and vicious fangs.
Yeah, can I take a look?
His hands, and they've got the claws, and he kind of he's got the big jutting out teeth, and he flicks them, and he kind of goes, why did I, ow, hold on. There's blood. Okay, hold on. I'm just kind of dabbing at it with my tongue now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Roger's going to reach out and grab one of the troll's teeth and just sort of wiggle it a little bit and tap the point. And he's like, God, yeah, that's very sharp. Hold on 1 second. And he's going to bend over. He's going to pick up a branch from the area just before the tree, rather just before the bridge. He's going to bring it back to Caliban and say, try to cleave this here branch in twain with your claws.
All right, here we go. I'm going to do this meditation. I'm going to center myself. I'm going to focus. And I think he effortlessly cleaves the branch. He kind of just tears. It's sort of he rips into it, claws it. He starts chewing at it. He's like, you know what? Actually kind of feels really nice getting the little branches in between the teeth.
Not gonna comment on that. Can't speak to that, but in terms of a Berserker Rage, I feel like you're, is your first try. I felt like you were a little too present, but that was fantastic, and I think that with some practice, you're really going to be a natural at this. You're going to be able to kill any bard who comes by, which for me is a huge bonus. Anyway, so you can I cross the bridge? What's the deal here?
Can't let you cross the bridge. I feel like you knew the answer to that before you asked it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, props for asking. A lot of people would either just try to run across the bridge, which, respect the process, or they would just be like, leave. And frankly speaking, it takes a certain courage to ask. So thank you for asking, but also respecting the curse and the poem and the iambic pentameter and the clause and the T. You're respecting the whole package, and I gotta say, I like the cut of that. I like the cut of your jib right now.
Thanks, and likewise. But you mentioned a curse. Now, the thing about Berserker Rages is don't really, work on curses and magic and things that you can't cut.
Well, that's...
So, are you telling me that if I were to get over this bridge, I'd be cursed, or you're cursed to protect the bridge? Because, I really need to get this amulet over to Cleve, right quick. I'd go to a different bridge if I could, but it would take almost half a day.
Okay, look, if I level with you right now, you seem cool. I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna put it on the table. You seem cool.
I am.
But if I level with you right now, are you gonna be cool?
I'd like to say I could promise you yes or no, but when you get really into the Berserker Rage, sometimes they just take you.
I can't. You know what? I've been my affirmation calendar says to take a chance today, and I'm going to take a chance today. I'm going to tell you something. The curse, it's sort of more of just if you really dig into the lore of the curse is sort of just that I'm going to eat you.
Just today, or eventually?
As you cross the bridge. The curse is I'm going to grab your ankles and I'm going to pull you down below the bridge to my little, my breakfast nook, and I'm going to eat you, and it's a whole thing. It's curse is sort of an easy way to explain the concept that I'm going to eat you right now if you try to cross the bridge, so, but, it also, there's also a certain, a certain effect to saying, hey, there's a curse on this bridge, that sometimes people don't even look that deep into it and they just leave. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot, and I'm trying to just lay out the details of what's going on to you.
Yeah. Okay, I got something I gotta ask you then, knowing what you've told me. You're talking a lot, you've spoken a lot about your affirmations calendar, about your interest in the arts, your poetry, you feel unappreciated, and then you come at me with this curse. I've been reading a lot about, self-actualization in the Bard's College. Again, don't tell any barbarians to come by about this. I'm technically not supposed to be literate, but, I feel like you're really underselling your agency here. You're your own troll. You can live your own life. I want to hear you make some I statements. Is it I feel cursed to eat you? Is it I have to eat you? Is it I want to eat you? Is it I feel as though I'm expected to eat you? I need to understand where you're coming from here. What does Caliban want here? Because what I'm hearing is a lot of fate. A lot of this is the way it is. And, I feel like if you just dug deeper into who you are and what you wanted, for example, what I want is to cut heads off of liches. That's what I do, and since I've come to understand that, my life has been a lot more peaceful, except for when I fight liches, because that is an extremely dangerous and violent activity in which I go into Berserker Rage. You see where I'm coming from here, right?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely seeing, I'm picking up what you're laying down. I'm gonna give this a try. I want to eat faces. Not discriminately, I want to eat faces. It really doesn't matter if it's a person's face or perhaps a pig jowl. I want my bridge protected. It keeps me safe from the firestorms and the dragons that fly overhead.
Okay. I got some responses. Oh,
There's
keep
more.
going.
I got more.
More breakthroughs is always good.
I would like to write a book. I think I have interesting takes on current events, and I think I would be pretty good at it.
Can I trouble you for a take?
Yeah, okay, liches.
Oh shit! I love liches. I'm killing them, but you know.
What's the deal with liches? I mean, are they dead? Are they alive? Are they magic? Are they mundane? What's the deal? I don't know. I'm not great at off the cuff, okay? I'm not.
Caliban.
I'm a writer, I'm not an improv artist, okay?
Caliban. He puts his hand out. Says, Caliban. I've heard a lot of things. I've heard a lot of bards give their poems. I've heard good bards. I've heard bad bards. I don't like good bards either. They're too stuck up. They know they're good. That was the best take I've ever heard.
Wow, thank you, man. That means a lot. I really... Thank you.
Fair enough.
I know part of you's just saying that because, like, I know it wasn't my best work. Like, if I went back down and got my notes, I could show you some sketches. I think it would really, you know... But I think, like, I appreciate you saying it, because I really did need I needed comforting, and I needed validation, and so it means a lot that you, I could, you know, even if you didn't 100% mean it, it means a lot to me that you sort of, that you put in the effort.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I feel like even if you don't like where your work is going, even if you feel as though you're not reaching your full potential, I feel like the lich studies, and specifically stories about why they suck, it's a very underserved genre. I think there's definitely a first to market sort of advantage here. Like once the market is flooded, even if you're great at it, I mean, who's gonna look at this new lich story guy? You know, who's gonna read a troll's take on a lich? Because, I mean, people they only have so many hours in a day. They're already reading the popular lich journals, you know?
Yeah, right, of course.
But I feel like you gotta really strike the iron. Do you know what iron is?
Yeah, I know what cold iron is, but we don't really touch cold iron because it is enchanted by fey magic, and therefore if I touch it, you know, I'm gonna turn to stone. It's a whole thing.
Don't strike the iron then. But you know what I mean? I mean, like, get on this. You know, like, do you need, like, vellum? I could get you vellum.
I would, you know what? I've been writing on, squirrel pelt. And it has not been conducive to the process. I feel like I'm only getting really the one take, and then I gotta find a new squirrel, but that means going away from the bridge, and
yeah,
it's just a lot.
I've been sitting in on some classes in the Bard's College, and I got to tell you that these professors, when they get a pelt based MS, it goes right in the trash.
What? I've sent them 14 MSs.
Yeah, and I don't agree with it either. It's just how these bards are. They need their shit to be fancy. Yeah, I think all writing should be on pelts. Personally, if I was ever going to write my memoirs, it would be on a series of lich's face that I've cured into leather. But yeah, you need vellum. You need vellum if you want.
I do need vellum.
Seriously.
Like your whole thing about all of it should be on pelts was a little condescending. If I'm being honest, I'm just leveling with you.
He motions to his loincloth. He's like, I'm a true believer of pelts. Do not impugn my love of pelts.
Okay, okay. Don't berserker rage here. Let's be cool.
Okay. So what I'm saying to you right now, let me cross this bridge. Let me get this amulet to my buddy Cleve. I'll bring you back. What do you need? Like 100 sheaves?
Oh, that'd be great. 100 sheaves would be awesome. And could you also get me some? Well, I guess I have. You've been to Bard College. Let me ask you. Obviously, squirrel pelts are not. It's not standard. It's not. It's not by the books. Squirrel blood.
As ink?
As ink.
Oh, gosh. I can't really speak to that. Me, personally, I feel like I'd be fine either way. My buddy Cleve...
Then in that case, I'm not going to ask you for ink. I think that should be fine. If the squirrel's blood, we'll be fine.
Yeah, my buddy Cleve, he has a brother named Bleed. He's literate. He's the family's shame, but he actually only reads things written in blood.
Okay. That makes sense.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a barbarian, bias. Maybe that's not universal. This is all I can tell you. Anyway, so he sort of taps his foot and looks around. He's like, "So, you said you needed faces. What if I, brought you like a goblin's face? You need that?
What if you... Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. You bring me 100 sheets of paper. You got... In one week. I'm giving you a week. I'm giving you a week. Giving you a week, Roger. You give me 100 sheets of paper, 100 sheets of vellum. I'm gonna say 10 pig faces, pig jowls. We want that real. I haven't had pork in a long time. You give me that. I could consider maybe, charging at you, but then maybe you hit me with the broadside of your sword, and I go dizzy, and I fall into the water, and then you cross the bridge, but then I'm still under the bridge. Are you getting my drift, maybe?
Yeah, I like where you're going with this, but pig faces are kind of hard to get, because usually pigs are owned by people. You take their faces off, they come and get you. That's not an adventure. How about this? There's a sort of a metaphor. What if I send 6 of the village police? They're often called pigs by the youth. I tell them that the bridge is totally safe and to just not even worry about crossing it. And then, 1, 6 pig faces. 2, you can practice that berserker rage I taught you.
Okay, no, that's actually, I feel like that's solid. That's a solid, okay. I'm liking this. I think I could work with that. Get the jump on them. I've got some new curse poetry that I might break out. It'd be good. I'm thinking this might work. But I still want the vellum, though. The vellum is important.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's easy enough to get. And I got it just... This is just a note, take it or leave it. One of the things about being a writer is you have to understand which criticism to take and which to just to leave.
Of course.
I'm thinking you use the curse poetry unseen, while they don't know who's saying it. Then when they're on the bridge, they're looking like, what's going on? That's when you jump out and do the berserker rage. Because I got to tell you, when you're in the berserker rage, you're not going to remember what language is. It just won't be a thing you can conceive of. So I don't want the rage to step on the poem or the poem to step on the rage. That's just my take.
I see what you're saying. That's yeah, because then they'd be looking around. They'd be like, "Is the bridge talking?" I'm gonna workshop that. Yeah, I've got a few different approaches. I'm thinking that might be interesting. Because if I stand if I stay in the nook, I think my voice will echo in a way that okay. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, they'll think the bridge is haunted.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good.
Yeah, a troll under a bridge, maybe like a wizard and like a couple of knights could. And I hope this doesn't happen, but they could take you out. But a haunted bridge, well, that's just. I mean, that bridge is just no go.
Okay.
Yeah. And he looks at the sun, and it's beginning to set over the horizon. He says, "Listen, Caliban, it's been great, but I'm crossing this bridge right now."
And now we both roll our 6-sided dice.
Yep.
And we want to get under the number that I've reached on the patience track, which is from 1 to 6. Because the
trust track.
The trust track. I never ran out of patience, which is good. Now you want to roll under the number that I have come up on the trust track. So roll your dice, and then I'll tell you where we got on the trust track.
I rolled a 5.
I also rolled a 5, which is great, because we got to a 6.
Yes! Oh, I love it!
So, if we both... So what happens... the game book has specific sections for the adventurer and the troll. So why don't you tell me what happens if we both roll under... Hold on, I bumped the mic. Let me reset that.
No problem.
So why don't you tell us what happens if we both roll under?
If we both roll under the patience track, we have an amicable farewell noted by partnership, compassion, and hope, which I think is both beautiful and earned.
Yeah, I think we earned this. Okay. So yeah, I think what happens is they stand there for a second. You say I'm crossing this bridge right now. Caliban nods. He nods, and he lunges at you.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit him with the broad. He lunges at you, and he winks right as he starts to do it.
And Roger Swordhoister hoists his sword and sort of gives him a playful slap on the cheek with the broadside of his sword.
And he goes, "Oh no!" Oh! And he sells it. He sells it a lot. He kind of oversells it, just a little bit.
Roger Swordhoister yells out, "Oh gosh!"
And he falls.
The curse of this haunted bridge with its great poetry. I just barely survived.
And you cross the bridge successfully. You get to the other side. And Caliban goes back to his little breakfast nook. There were no sea serpents. And he's kind of sitting back under the bridge, and he goes, "Sea serpents. I should have said river serpents. It should have been river serpents. I'm not an improv guy. I thought that went pretty well. It's okay. It's not everything is going to be 100%. Don't let perfect get in the way of good."
Yeah.
And he kind of sits, and he looks at the sun, and he waits.
And Roger Swordhoister sprints to the local tavern. He goes up to the rooms on the second floor. He bursts into one, and there is a half-orc laying with his stomach cut open, just his intestines beginning to fester, and the room just smells of rot. And he smashes this amulet he's been holding in his hands, and a ghost comes out and blows ghostly energy on Cleave's cut open belly, and it magically stitches itself back up. And Roger says to Cleave, "Hey buddy, I did it. I got the amulet, and I killed the lich. A pretty good day. And hey, I made a new friend. I think you might like to meet him one day too. But hold on, I gotta go on an errand. I'm definitely not going to the Bard's College because I've never been there because I hate bards, and I don't secretly want to be one. So just let that be known." And he runs off to the Bard's College. He goes to the sort of the supply master and intimidates him into giving him 100 sheets of vellum. And the next day, he and Cleave roll back up to the bridge with the 100 sheets, and Roger's like, "Hey, haunted bridge that's very scary. We're just gonna leave these 100 sheets as tribute. You got it? You get me?"
It's dead silent. But you're pretty sure that you're pretty sure he picks up on it.
Yeah. Well, good looking out. Expect the sheriff's men tomorrow.
Several days later, or the next day, 6 town guardsmen come up upon this bridge. They start to cross it, and they hear, give me a second.
Okay.
"Feel the bridge's wrath. Under a burning red moon. Caliban the Red." And we see over the moon, which is in fact not burning in red, but it fit the syllable count.
Mm-hmm.
We see the shape of Caliban leap up, freeze frame, and that's game.
Hell yeah! I love it.
That was good. That was a really fun game. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Roger, what a good guy and met a good friend.
What a good couple of friends they are. I'm really happy that they hit it off. That's good. What a good game. Tom, thank you so much for coming on Party of One. This was a blast.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much for having me.
So, real quick before we wrap up, where can people find your work online?
People can find ShuffleQuest at shufflequest.com. People can find ShuffleQuest online at shufflequest.libsyn.com. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play, iHeartRadio. You're listening to a podcast right now, friends, so you know where they are. Mm-hmm. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ShuffleQuestPodcast, on Twitter at twitter.com/ShuffleQuest, and you can email us at shufflequestpodcast@gmail.com. ShuffleQuest comes out every second Wednesday. And, I hope you check it out, because it's super fun and goofy.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a blast and a half. And now I am going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Tom for coming onto the show. That game was really fun and surprisingly sweet and also really silly, and I super appreciated it, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you again for coming on the show. Be sure to check out ShuffleQuest at shufflequest.libsyn.com. It's really funny and interesting and good and different, and I think you'll really dig it. You should also follow ShuffleQuest on Twitter at ShuffleQuest. Then, while you're on Twitter, you should follow this show at Party of One Pod, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/PartyOfOnePodcast. If you really enjoy the show, consider giving us a nice iTunes review, a social media shout-out, or a word-of-mouth recommendation. All three of those things help us find new listeners and grow and do bigger, better, and cooler things. If you want to support the show monetarily, you can support our Patreon at patreon.com/PartyOfOnePodcast. Patreon backers get access to bonus material, interviews, and mini-podcasts. And Patreon dollars help pay for hosting fees, equipment costs, convention appearances, and all that good stuff. You can find that at patreon.com/PartyOfOnePodcast. If you want to hear more from me, check out All My Fantasy Children, the podcast in which Aaron Catano-Saez and I take your listener prompts and turn them into beautiful, thriving, vibrant role-playing game children. And also sometimes we play role-playing games, like this week we played Jim McClure's Reflections, and it was a baller-ass episode. You should check that out at allmyfantasychildren.libsyn.com. Party of One is produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Megaran featuring the D&D Sluggers. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates coming onto the show, or you just want to talk to me about Kaiju Big Battle, because I always want to talk about Kaiju Big Battle, because Kaiju Big Battle is great, you should email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that's it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on.